Hey, welcome. It's another day of the DoorDash LCO, and I'm back once again. Me, Mac Mate, with my mustache and my silly shirt and a little bit better of a haircut than usual. So, I'm looking forward to a great day of League of Legends. What about you guys back at home? I'll tell you what, before we get there, how about we take a look back at yesterday's results? See you then.
Boys looking to try and one-shot somebody. Then Sonya's denying all that pressure that these assassins are looking to try and find. The resets come out and Order come out stronger. What an upset. What a great game for Order. Dismissing the critics who have said, well, you've beaten some weaker teams. Commission's life as miserable as possible. Here comes the turnaround as Zappy looks to try and do some wonders. Fate School has to be popped to respect the Cosmic Radiance. Whether that 2.5 second active duration. It is a beautiful onslaught that Babbitt then launches himself into the back line. He dies though again! Sapper continuing to show up here. An absolute dismantling here by Pensnet, showing up that they mean business, that they've had enough of experience and they've had enough of playing around and giving teams chances. They would have gotten themselves on a bit of a win streak. Because the Baron dance begins. Instantly the Zonyas as the box for deterrence by Mammoth, but then jumps onto 4 people and batters their health bars. And it's just a snowball effect from there because Gunkrab sits his paradise. It's a playground and he will once again just take everybody and more. It's a triple kill.
Day 5 of week 3, and that means it's a super week. I think we're all very excited to get underway with the games. Of course, before we do that, we do have to welcome our casters back onto the show. They are a couple of super lads. We got Rusty and Skimmy back on. Fellas, you're looking fantastic. My mustache is getting a little bit caught inside of my mouth. Don't worry about me. How you guys doing today?
Not looking as good as you, Mac. Very excited to have you here for another day, another LCO day. It wouldn't be the same without Mac here, would it?
That's right, that's right. Yeah, Skimmy, how you doing? You've got a lovely shade of hair color. I actually tried that one out once myself, but I decided today I'd go brunette instead.
Yeah, look, we've all taken a bit of Mac with us onto the show today, right? I've gone for the inspiration with the hair color. I've taken a shirt, of course, stolen that from the wardrobe, but I'm missing that final touch. I don't know what it is. I'm sure I'll figure it out at some stage.
Look, one of these days, mate, you might be able to grow a mustache just as good as mine, but I tell you what, before we do get too far into that discussion, let's talk standings. Let's talk about where things are sitting at the moment in the LCO. The Chiefs still at the top of the pack, but they are on shaky ground at the moment. A lot of teams quite close by. Rusty, what do you think of things so far?
Yeah, I mean, Chiefs with an L the other day, definitely something that sticks out to me when you look at these standings. They were starting to break away from the rest of the pack, right? But not so much anymore. Working our way down the table as well. The ongoing theme here is going to be how close everybody is. There is a point now breaking away between what 6th and 7th, even though it's tied for 4th. That is the 6th slot. Legacy now 2 points behind, but the rest of the league 2 wins away from 1st.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty crazy standings at the moment. Skimmy, anything that you want to note out of the teams here?
Yeah, I mean, we came into this week, right, thinking, okay, maybe we'll get some clarity. Maybe some teams will start to break away from the pack. And we thought that, okay, Chiefs had a 2-game buffer. Doesn't really mean much, right? They drop a game to Gravitas. They're still pretty happy in the middle of the pack, and you're still waiting for another super week to follow to maybe see clearer days ahead. All
right. Well, I tell you what's important is the matches that are coming up, and maybe not necessarily what we've seen. So let's have a look at what we've got for us today. And I think what we should focus on here is, obviously, there's a couple of teams that are 2-0 so far this week, Order and Pentanet. So in terms of the Super Week, both of those two are playing off for a 3-0 scoreline. On the other side of things, Mammoth and Peace currently 0-2, so both of them playing off to at least avoid a 0-3 Super Week. A couple of big matches this week, Rusty.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I'm really glad you brought up the Order Pentanet point first. That's exactly what I was looking at. If there was ever going to be a super match for our Super Week, you'd have to say that is the one, based off the trajectory of both teams on this week. I'm also quite excited for, honestly, most of these games for very different reasons. I think Gravitas and Chiefs will be interesting to explore, and Legacy Direwolves, 2 teams following different trajectories in the past week themselves, but both very hungry to get those wins and continue to climb the standing.
What about you, Skimmy? Anything here that is sort of tickling your fancy?
Yeah, I'm going straight for that 3rd game. Legacy taking on Direwolves. Both teams have shown in the past that they can definitely find their own success. Legacy have already beaten Direwolves once this season, so despite Direwolves currently being ahead of them, they're a team that, will really get at you in the first 15 minutes, and if you're suffering from that pressure that they throw at you, then they could definitely look to try and claw themselves up in that position and continue to make 4th place just the place to be.
Yeah, certainly a lot to talk about when it does come to today's matches. But, you know, before we go too in-depth with each individual game, I think let's take a bit more of a holistic look. I mean, you guys have been cooking something up in the lab here for us to sort of stew over. This time it's the niche picks of the season. So why are we talking about these, Rusty? Or is it just because you're a big fan of Bart?
Well, first of all, I'm just glad I'm not having to rant this week. It means that we're doing something right. I'm only going to take 2 of these champions. Skimmy's going to be the latter 2. And would you believe it, one of my niche picks is Bard, a champion that I literally have tattooed on my body. That's how much I like Bard. But the reason for it, we'll get into the reason. And what I've done here is I've written down questions that people may ask me, right, as to why Bard is here, not just my biased perspective, so to make it a more neutral standpoint on this, right? So what is it good into? Everything. What is it bad into? Absolutely nothing. Who do you counter? Everything. When should I pick it? Only if you're good at it, which means always if you're good, but never if you're bad. It's actually the same as Ezreal, funnily enough. And what do you achieve by picking Bard, which was a question asked by MacMate before? Everything. You achieve everything. It's the ultimate pick in League of Legends. You have bragging rights by winning. You've tilted your opponents by winning simply because the ult's crazy. You've tilted your teammates because you're not even laning with them. It's perfect. My second pick is Dr. Mundo. Now, Dr. Mundo's in here because he's been seen a lot more in support and does offer a couple of new things there with the changes to his kit. One, you can't crowd control him. So if you have limited crowd control down in the bottom lane, he's actually really difficult to deal with. So things like hook champions, right? Nautilus, Thresh, their engage is so limited just because he'll walk away. He has high base damage, high base stats in general, and they've also changed his E to punish a lot harder now with Relic through minion waves, so it gives more push and has more poke and trade potential in lane. So Mundo legitimately very good right now in the bottom lane in certain situations.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's obviously achieved a fair bit. Beats getting coined the term that we heard the other night and then putting on an MVP performance. Cassiopeia and Tarek, we've only seen them once apiece so far. Cass, for me, fantastic, strong hyper carry mage in the mid lane that's looking to try and be a bit of a lane bully, 1v1, excels perfectly at that. The petrifying Graze is just insane in basically turning around fights, right? Hard engage coming at you, you just turn the switch, instantly you're now on the front foot. If they come at you aggressively, you can even flash forward to make plays of that same notion. A W, Miasma, Mobility Denial, fantastic into diving melee comps, which is what Peace put together against the Direwolves. And then above all else, strong area control, right? You think about those times you've been having to face check, they're ready to go for a Baron or a Dragon, they stand in Pixel Brush, you just can't step up, right? You just can't do much about that at all. I suppose the same could be said for Tarek in that same vein, right? Where he can also fill up the role of, you know, forcing you to come into him. The Dazzle is there, the Cosmic Radiance really preventing a lot of these dive-heavy compositions. Requires a bit of understanding as to sort of the flow of things, right, to make sure that the timing and the wind-up goes off, but really strong, hard engage. A little bit weak against poke, right, so if we see Senna, Zyra, anything along the sort of enchanting line can definitely get poked to the lane, but given that we're seeing a lot of tanks and bruisers picked in the bot half of the map still, Tarek definitely serves a role in denying a lot of that and coming out ahead.
Great stuff, fellas. And I tell you what, Rusty, actually, since you reckon Bard should be picked at any point in time, anywhere, I might try picking it up in the jungle because it probably will go a bit better for me than for some of my previous games with all my standard junglers. Either way, listen, I don't want to hear too much from you guys. I want to hear from everyone at home. Those of you who aren't able to get involved in the conversation, make sure you do it. Send us your memes, send us your trash talk, send us your best MacMate cosplay because I love being cosplayed. I am MacMate, by the way. I tell you what, though, just because we're having a super week, we do need to get into the minds of the people at home, right? We normally give our predictions. I tell you what, we've got a prediction from someone here that, has sent in their, I suppose their prediction. It's Darren Taurus once again. Here's his predictions for today. It looks like he's going to go the way of Chiefs, Pentanet, Peace, I guess. And looks like Direwolves is winning their matchup as well. So what do you reckon about those ones, fellas?
I mean, listen, Skibby, I don't know about you, but my mind immediately goes to the PGG order game because there's something about the bonk that seems more appropriate. And you guys at home may not know this, but Order are in need of a, of a bonk sometimes with the things that go on in their team comps.
Yeah, look, that's something that we're going to definitely be holding on to close to our heart for a little bit longer, right? And maybe putting on a bit of a performance, to say the least. But look, I think he's spot on with the money, right? We talk about favorites. I think for the most part, people are going to try and echo those same faults, but it may be cursed, right? I mean, we've seen these results happen before. But there have been upsets in the card, right? What do we see on Wednesday? We went for the favorites, unanimous across the board, and the first 2 games came back to haunt us.
Yeah, well, someone that's going to come back and haunt us again is Nat. She has been around almost every single day this split, sometimes disappearing to do something else. But that's fine, Nat, you're back. You're looking great. I love the pineapple shirt. I have one of those as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like normally give me a little bit of a nicer welcoming, Mac, but you know what? I'll take it. Maybe it's just the Friday atmosphere going on. But yeah, I am back to haunt everyone for another day of LCO.
All right, I tell you what, Nat, I'll be really nice to you if you can answer these 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 questions for me. We do have a champion quiz prepared. This time it's actually from production, so I get to play as well. Sorry, my mustache got stuck in my mouth again. Okay, we got Kane. So this one's pretty tough, although I am a jungle main and I've played Kane before, so I should know all of these, no problems at all. Rusty, you're looking a bit concerned. I know you are, just one of those noob support players. Let's start off with the Q. What do you guys think the Q is?
I would just like to say I did ask production for an easy one.
This is the easy one, Nat.
Yeah, I told production I could name Yumi's ones, and they said no.
I think I could name the ultimate.
I think I can name the ultimate as well. That's probably the only one I'm going to get.
Honestly,
here, to be honest.
maybe it. Do we get? How does production give hints? That's my question.
Production-
They're going to pull up the picture of the ability.
Yeah.
Like that.
So that's like...
That's the Q, right?
That's like a slash or a glaive or
Scythe
something.
slash.
It's definitely a scythe. And it definitely
Scythe.
slashes.
Definitely a slash. Something slash.
Slashing.
It's apparently we're very close. Someone's telling me we're very close.
We're very close.
What about slashing scythe?
Just put all the words together. Why
Well
not?
done, slash.
That's now the
Slash
name. Let's
scythe.
move on.
Yeah, let's move on. Let's see what it is.
It's
Reaping
Ah,
slash.
Oh,
We
reaping
were not that
slash.
close.
Okay.
All right, what about the
we're
W?
50. Half a point. Half a point.
it's a line.
It's
slash.
the line. The line slash. All right, line slash probably is
Dash slash.
No, it's not the dash. Is it? Is
the
this
dash
W?
is the E's.
Yeah.
Oh.
Is it a
No,
Q?
this
or
is the
dash?
W.
Yeah, so the W is just a
It's
line.
the W is the
knock up
dash,
with the
yeah.
line.
Yeah.
And the knock up. Yeah, this is it. This is hard.
Angsty bop.
Edgelord
Reaper's knock up.
swipe.
Knocked up.
Blades reach.
Were we
See,
ever
I would
meant
never
to
have
get
gotten that
these?
one.
No one was anywhere near
Okay,
close.
okay. What about this one? The E, which is the one that sends him through the wall. So this must be something about like
Shifting.
traverse or
Terrain.
Terrain
Terrain
traverse?
turbulence.
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 I'm gonna need.
Can
a
they give
hint
us
here
letters?
from
Can they
production.
give us
Are we
The
asking too much
initials?
production for hints like that?
They said, "What do you do when you walk? What do you do when you
Step.
put
walk?
one foot in front of
Jog.
the other?
Step.
Is step.
Okay, so step.
What do you do when you walk? You jog.
I run.
Passing,
no.
traversing.
The first word
It's
starts
step.
with S. Shadow step.
Shadow,
It's shadow
step. Yeah, that'd do it.
Easy. All right,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
think we all know what the ultimate is. Who wants
Yes,
to have
definitely.
the honors?
I'm
We'll
sure
just
Nat
give it to
knows
Rusty.
it.
No, we'll just give it to Rusty. He
Umbral
claimed it at the
trespass.
start.
Umbral trespass is the ultimate.
Yeah.
What is the passive though? I don't honestly couldn't even tell you.
I'm gonna say it's to
Something
do
soul.
with the weapon, right? Because he is choosing between Kane and Rust.
Yep,
So
you're on the right track, Rusty.
scythe.
Is it literally Kane/Rust? Or
No,
scythe
no.
is apparently the second word. Third word. Ooh.
Other
Third
three
word.
words.
There's 3 words. That's even
and
harder.
it's I believe
It's probably
the scythe is trying to take him over, so it's like
It's a sacrifice to take one
fighting
soul.
against the scythe or like decision with it.
Okay. The question is, Rusty, what is Rust?
Demon.
Demon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Close.
Devil.
Dark?
The Devil's Scythe.
it's 3 words, right?
It's 3 words.
The Devil's Scythe? No.
All right, I tell you what. Apparently, you're close enough, Skimmy. We're going to give it up. The Darken
Darken.
side.
Oh, Darken.
of
That is
course.
pretty close.
He is a Darken.
Right,
that makes
which
a lot
is
of
demon
sense.
in League of Legends.
So I guess we got Shadow Step eventually. I think we probably got 2 out of 5 there, which is good work, everybody. I'm really impressed.
I guess Kevin and Swafer just watching us and saying, get these guys off the broadcast. I don't know what we're doing.
Mate, but have they seen me jungling? Because if they said
true.
that, then I mean, look, they'll get me on the team.
It's true.
I'm scared for the difficult one if that was the easy one.
You never know,
Yeah,
though. The
true.
thing is, like, with League abilities, you could say this is the hard one, but you just happen to know those, right? Like, Kane's just a weird one for me. Why would I know the names of those, right?
They need
Same.
like big abilities that you yell on a broadcast, and then you tend to know what they are. And if they don't have that, then they
Yeah.
don't have that. But either way, guys, tell you what, big abilities, big teams coming up in our first matchup. The Chiefs and Gravitas, and I think it's time for us to start leaning in that direction. So let's talk about the Chiefs first. They are, at the moment sitting at the top of the ladder. So tell me, what do you think of these guys, Rusty? I know they've been a bit up and down, a little bit of late. Are you thinking they're still the top team in the LCO?
So they're mostly up. That is still the thing, right? It's a couple of blips on the radar. And I think the interesting thing about Chiefs right now is they've shown in a similar way to some other teams now that there is a recipe that could potentially beat them. The thing that I've been most impressed about with the Chiefs is the ability of their solo laners lately. They've continued to improve, and they've really had shutout games of their own accord. But Wednesday, when you saw them play against Order, mid lane got shut out. Top lane had a matchup that isn't necessarily winning or snowballing. And we know that Chiefs play around a weak side bottom lane most of the time. So that recipe was shown. And it's hard to say now, like, are they the best team when that recipe's there? But overall, I'm still quite high on the Chiefs, and I still think that they definitely are a front runner for the whole season.
Yeah, I'm a big Chiefs fan as well, but I tell you what, I'm a fan of Gravitas here too. And Skimmy, tell me a little bit about Gravitas. I've been a little unsure of where I want to sit them, but they did beat Peace on Wednesday, so they must still be doing okay.
It's a really weird one to try and crack the code of Gravitas, right? Because you come into this and you say, okay, on paper, for the most part, you'd say pound to pound, they do get outmatched in certain positions by certain teams. But, they seem to continue to make these fantastic on-the-fly decisions. Their game the other night, where they were just able to get the dub and just sort of prove everyone wrong. I mean, up against Peace, this is a strong team where you would say that who they're facing individually were better pound for pound. But the fact is, Thomas Shin fell behind 100 CS. Violet wasn't able to do anything with that lead in the team fights. The Thomas Shin Varus basically became a China Corruption bot just to do his job and say, I'm done. Kyose, I think, is one of the standout players in here, has the highest KD, has the most influence and most kill participation. He'll play enchanters, he'll play carries if need be, but he'll be pretty much wherever you need him at any given moment. And I think the most amazing part is I was a bit critical saying if Seth is ahead, they look like they're winning. If Seth is behind, they look completely down and out. But the thing is, they made that on-the-fly decision to say, we're not going to keep feeding resources bot side to try and get Thomas Shen back into the game against Peace. They just instantly identified, let's get Sephiroth online and then Gwen 1v9'd.
What do you reckon, Nat? I know you're here for a good analysis segment. Are you a fan of Gravitas or are you a fan of Chiefs?
I am. I think Gravitas have come a really long way in kind of what Skimmy said, right? Being able to learn and identify where their strong points are, what's necessary for them to stay in the game and potentially come back. Chiefs overall, same sort of thing compared to Split 1, have been doing it really well. I think I lean to the side of Chiefs a little bit more in terms of favoring, but I think it's just because they've had a really outstanding performance and they have that consistency compared to Gravitas.
Here's some replays from the last time they played against each other, by the way, Rusty. I think you were casting that one with Elfish Guy, and it was a great start for Gravitas, but they weren't actually able to maintain that early lead. It was the Chiefs that sort of came back into things and really ran away with the victory. So is that kind of just what it comes down to? Chiefs a little bit better of a team in terms of the macro play?
I think there is a lot of composure in the Chiefs roster breaking out of laning phase, and they do seem to find a bit more strength. For Gravitas on the opposing side, the interesting thing here is I think when they have the right comps and they have the right tools, they can keep up with the best teams in the league come that mid-game period, right? Where otherwise they do seem to make mistakes, fall behind. Yesterday was a very good example of that, where they did just completely comp gap their opponents, and suddenly the game seemed a lot easier for them, even from a deficit. So Chiefs, with their composure, definitely have the potential, but for me, that's in a stable game state with a stable, even draft or better draft for Chiefs.
Yeah, certainly looking forward to seeing how these two teams do match up, because at the moment I feel like they're still relatively evenly matched in the sense that, Gravitas is still towards the top end of things on the standings, and the Chiefs could potentially drop an important game here and then start to tumble. We'll have to find out how that does all pan out. Of course, we have been, having a bit of a chat with Gravitas, so I want to see what they've got to say about themselves.
Thanks, Mac. Really appreciate it. You know how much the Gravitas loves winning with our minions attacking the Nexus from the back door. You know, it also likes entering the house via the back door. Doggos. Doggos love coming into your house via the back door. That is why we have partnered with our good friends at Scratch. They're our official pet partner, and what we want to see the great esports doggos in OS on the Gravitas Scratch Dog jersey. That's right, your doggo can appear on our jersey on the LCO broadcast later this split. What you've got to do is send in your photos on Instagram and Twitter. Tag us, Gravitasos, like Oakley and Zeke and Carl and Dusty. They're all going to appear on the Gravitas Scratch Dog jersey, like Kawhi and Cooper. So all you've got to do is tag World of Scratch, tag Gravitas or Gravitasos on Twitter, and don't forget, you can win one of these jerseys with your doggo on it by going to Gravitas GG/Scratch Doggos, or just scan the QR code. That's it from us. Let's go, Gravitas. Gravitas Glory. Back to you, Mac.
Thank you so much, Sean. Great to hear from you, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Gravitas can do in this first match of the day. Nat, I tell you what, it's great to hear from the horse's mouth. So tell me, who have you got down on the sidelines today?
I'm going to be joined. I can't even hold my composure. I'm going to be joined by Mboma and Thomas Shen. Mboma, I want to start with you because we saw you guys drop your first game yesterday against a team that wasn't Peace. So do you think you guys might be plateauing in terms of performance, or maybe teams are figuring you guys out?
No, not really. I think the best of ones are really volatile, and you can drop games in best of ones sometimes. I don't think it means that much. We weren't too tilted or anything after the loss. We sort of just looked at problems that we had in the loss, and yeah, we moved on from it. It's not a big deal.
What do you think was your weakness and you're hoping to improve on today?
I think we griefed the draft, but I think, yeah, that was pretty much it.
Thomas, over on your side of the coin for Gravitas, you guys have been getting some wins that a lot of people wouldn't be expecting. And I've asked pretty much everyone else on the team, but why do you think it has played out this way for you guys this split?
Honestly, I have no idea. I think maybe our drafts are good and sometimes we play better than opponents. Yeah, I think we just everyone just leveled up a bit.
It seems to be that way. But speaking of leveling up, your performance this split, are you really proud of yourself, or do you think you still have a long way to come?
I'm not that happy about it. I think there hasn't been games where I really pop off yet, so hopefully tonight's the one.
Is it perhaps getting a certain sort of champ, and we could be seeing something new drafting-wise come out from Gravitas to allow you to pop off?
Yeah, maybe if my coach actually picks me the champions, then yeah, maybe.
Well, that's a little nudge to the coach over there. And Boma, you also, looking at my records, are the only Chiefs player to not have player that delivered this split. What do you think you have to do to deserve player that delivered?
I think my teammates need to not end or something. I mean, to be honest, I play weak side every game, so it's whatever. I don't care too much about I want the DoorDash, but at the same time, I care more about winning. And look, if other teams want to play for their bot and make the AD look good, that's fine. I don't really care. I'll just win the games, and my teammates will get player that's delivered. That's whatever. I guess.
I love it. Just all about the win. But the last question I want to ask is, you guys will be facing off against each other in the bot lane today. So, Boma, do you have any words that you'd like to share with Thomas Shen today?
Good luck. I hope you don't go down 100 CS this time, but it's fine. I'm sure it'll be a good game.
Yeah, the Commander's probably the only one who can do that to me. Because last time I played against Prative Callista, it was a bit of a gap. I didn't expect it.
Okay, you haven't played this mic list yet. So
yeah, hopefully tonight.
Maybe.
Well, there you go. It'll be very interesting to see how much CS, or if at all, either of you are going to fall behind. But thank you both so much for joining me, and good luck tonight.
Thank you.
See ya. Good luck, bro.
Wow.
The friendliest banter ever.
I love it. I love it. They just had to pull Praedith in there too.
Yeah.
All right, lads and ladies. Of course, we do have to jump into the predictions here as well for ourselves. We've had a good bit of a chat here about the Chiefs and Gravitas, but it's time to put your money where your mouth is. Where do we sit right now? Elfish guy looks like he's gone for the Chiefs. MacMate, will be going with the Twitch chat as usual. But Rusty, tell me, you've gone for Gravitas. That seems like a bit of an out there prediction. What's that all about?
Yeah, I do think it's a bit of an out there prediction, Mac, mate. But the thing is, like, if I was to give a percentage on this game, I would say maybe 70-30 in favor of Chiefs. But there is a solid 30, and for me, I do think, and I mentioned this before, that Chiefs have shown a way that they can be beaten. And my question and my challenge to the Chiefs is how they adapt after yesterday, because you would expect a bit of adaptation. If there isn't any, then I do expect the Gravitas will beat them, and that's what I'm actually banking on today.
Skimmy, you're on the Chiefs hype train. Is that just because you like to tip the favorites?
Well, I just think that they should be winning, right? You know, they're at the top of the table for a reason because they've had strong fundamentals and they can get these big early leads that then translate into a strong mid-game to close out games, right? So, as Rusty mentioned, you know, the Chiefs were caught off guard there with a nice draft from Order, which, you know, took them down a notch. And we've seen that Gravitas are, you know, well-equipped to make those kind of drafts happen as well. So you talk about a 70-30 split. I think it's not unreasonable, but I think there's definitely a strong argument to be made that, you know, if we're making predictions after draft, these could certainly be different.
All right, Nat. Looks like you've gone with the rest of the bunch there on the Chiefs as well. Do you want to, do you want to tell us your thoughts on that pick too?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit closer than 70-30 personally, but I definitely resonate with what Rusty said. How it's going to be so dependent on how Chiefs come back from their loss yesterday. Like I said in the interview, it's their first loss against a team that isn't pieced this split. So there is a lot more that they can learn from a loss against Order, and it's just, yeah, really down to how they adapt. So I think it is actually closer than 70-30. I think it's probably 55-45. Like I would put it a lot closer than people would give it credit for.
Do you think, and this is probably a question for any one of you that feels like taking this, that neither of these teams have come into this week super consistent? Like, I feel like both are kind of sitting on shaky ground.
Yes, I'll take it. I'll say yes, they both are coming in inconsistently. I think I asked Mboma if he feels that they're plateauing a little bit, and he said no, but I think there is this essence of them that they know it's working and they want to stick to it. Yesterday was the day before was the first time that it didn't work for them. If they think, oh, it was just draft, we don't actually really have to change up that much, then it's very easy for them to fall down the same path, which is why I think it appears to be inconsistent.
All right, well, thank you very much, Nat, for your insights. It's time now for us to get all of the answers to our questions. The champ select is ready. Game one is ready. It's the Chiefs and Gravitas.
Beautiful, Mac. Well, I appreciate the handover as we jump into a highly
Mac's
anticipated
good today.
matchup. He's good. He's
God's
clean.
good today.
He certainly is, and look, I'm expecting a clean game here today. The Chiefs taking on Gravitas, as mentioned. No surprise that the opening two bans from the Chiefs removed the Lulu, removed the Karma. We've seen a little bit of leeway in recent times with the Enchanters maybe falling off to other champions in particular, but especially against Kyosei, you've got to remove them.
Yeah, lots of respect needs to be given here for Gravitas. Just in general, right, the way that they play. The fact that Kyosei is so willing to play those Enchanters in the first place does wonders for them overall. LeBlanc actually, as the third ban, is an adaptation already. Kyosei does play it, but as does Kisei, and it's been his mid laner for the past 3 games that the Chiefs have played. So a lot of respect being given here by the Chiefs towards the mid lane of Gravitas. And I will say, Skimmy, the standard strategy for facing Gravitas right now is just focus Kyosei, ban his champions out, and this is one of those champions.
100%, and also we can't forget about the Gwen ban, right? We were talking about whether, you know, this would be a highly contested pick, with Safa finding a lot of success on it, doing so well the other night. We let Swaith, when taunted by Only from the Dire, also said, right, okay, I'll lock it in, and it made it look so clean. Nocturne, no surprises there in Ziggs. We've seen that both of these AD carries can flex if the composition needs that extra flexibility to have AD elsewhere on the map. Viego first pick, nice strong reset comp angle. And Gravitas were considering a few things. I was getting excited for a second if they would go for the Blitzcrank, because we know it's Drag who can pop that out, but they've gone back to some more trustworthy ones.
I mean, they're just hovering Chiefs champions. I think Safa's just having a bit of a giggle there. Draku, Swaith getting their own champions hovered. This is definitely something that Swaith will seriously consider, even though it is, again, just another hover on their side. Camille, as the first pick, is definitely Safa's comfort zone. This is not unfamiliar territory for us. However, this will be without a Karma or a Lulu there. This will be without that hard support option. There is the choice, and I will say, you know, with an Akali locked in, there's a world where maybe you say, it's going to Kisei, we play Galio mid, right? Now we have a Galio Camille composition, Akano can play Jarvan, and you just like GG comp them to the moon.
For sure.
It's possible, but we'll have to see where the rest of this draft pans out. Camille does open a lot of options.
Certainly does, and just gives you a lot of ability, as you say, to target the side lanes, group up in the team fights, and pretty much just take somebody nice and squishy out of the fight early on. The Chiefs fitting to their name and fitting to what their style has been for the second half of the year, is continuing to go for the aggression. There were question marks around what happened against Order with this style of play. It obviously got shut down with some creative drafting with the Lissandra and Viego there to turn things on its
I'm
head.
so for this.
But the Chiefs are going to stick to their guns, and Gravitas
No,
also...
don't
Hang on a
dodge
minute.
the lobby. Ash support.
Hang on a minute.
Oh, I'm sad. I think Thresh was the most likely option there, and then with a second left, it did switch. We have to assume something went very wrong there. We'll have to find out what that is soon.
So, well, we'll wait for word from production. I want to check the stat, actually, for Thomas Shen. Yeah, he is a bit of an Ash connoisseur, isn't he? He loves to play it, but yet to see if Floppy would be willing to jump into that kind of tech. It's kind of what you mentioned before, right? We talk about draft, that there was a strong 30% argument to be made for them. They could definitely pull something like that out of the bag and cause headaches once again for Chiefs.
I would argue that is definitely the opposite of what they should be doing in terms of tech, because your opponent is a Mundo support player, so just keep that in mind. Nice Ash
That's
arrow,
true.
lol.
Yeah, true.
It doesn't exist. But look, there's definitely a possibility, there's definitely an option that Gravitas do something wild, crazy, maybe unexpected. What I did expect, and I'm assuming that the first two picks of their draft are the same when I say this, is that you just round out your composition with the Thresh, and you go for the Varus Thresh bot lane. It's a point of stability. It can be a weak side. We've seen that before, and I'm not upset seeing Gravitas play with Thomas Shen as the weak side person on the map, right, with Floppy, where they just sit back and scale into team fighting, because at the moment it's very clear that you can just play around Safa, play around having a winning top jungle matchup and incorporate your mid laner with teleport to have a major influence.
Well, it's interesting we talk about weak side bot laners, right? Because this would be the clash of those two. You talk about Mboma, he's definitely felt that archetype for a fair bit of time. So if Thomas Shen was to do that, we've seen time and time again where teams have tried to 2v1 Mboma. He's put on a champion with a little bit of agency, a bit of safety so that he can avoid turret dives and all the rest of it. I mean, actually, I found a bit of an obscure stat here. Mboma has the highest KDA in the league across all roles at 8.6. The number really speaks for itself. He's pretty consistent, knows his role. And, when targeted for these cross-map plays, he's able to come out ahead.
Yeah, so Mboma's an interesting one, because the consistency with which he is on the weak side makes you question how he manages to get a KDA that is as good as it is. Because usually they're the side of the map that will die the most to ganks, right? But this does seem to be, and this is it's a weird compliment. And I want to make sure that I say this is a compliment, Skimmy, but he is the worst. He's the best at playing with no resources, right? He's the best playing from behind player. He's not losing, right? Because the team's winning, so it's easier to play. But
Sure.
Definitely has the disadvantage of being on the worst side of the map for him. And it's been conditioned into Mboma's entire career, if I'm going to be honest. He is built into being a weak side player, which is why it could be seen as a negative, because he doesn't win lane. But his KDA speaks for itself. And it's weird, because I don't like KDA as a stat, Skimmy. But it does mean a lot with certain contexts.
It's an obscure stat, right? But as you highlight, right, when brought into context for what Chiefs are able to do and how strong they've been as a whole for the start of the second split, then it serves the purpose that knowing that if we are gonna play to other parts of the map, that we're finding success there, but we're not then hindered as a result by it. And got word from producer that we're still waiting for the lobby just to be remade. Should be about a minute or two away. I believe we do actually have MacMate on standby because we just can't get enough of him. We're going to welcome him back, Stash and all. And look, obviously not much to break down there, Mac, but from what you're seeing, is this kind of what you were imagining from the draft?
Look, to be honest, I wouldn't call myself much of a draft lord or a draft connoisseur. I don't know much about the game. I just pick Rammus and run at people and try and do my best. But I was a little bit surprised, actually, to see the center pick coming through for the Chiefs. I feel like that's not something that we've seen from them a huge amount this split. And I guess the fact that, I mean, this is a question maybe that's better off for you two. I mean, is center really the champion that you want to be taking into a weak side bot lane?
I think it can be for sure, right? Because champion combos like Center Tahm Kench existed, and variants of that, of course, since that duo came up, do also exist. So you can play like an impossible to kill 2v2 bot lane, Center and Mundo, right? If it's a farming Mundo, if you want, right? And Draku's shown that his depth of champion pool is really large. And I also know Draku can play the center, and Mboma has his weird picks like the Heimerdingers that go down in bottom lane. So it's certainly possible that they have the answer to anything Gravitas throw at them. Gravitas being on the red side, however, MacMate do have the option of counter pick. I'm just expecting them to 2-3 their bottom lane because it's easier to draft the rest of the comp out.
Look, I know Elfish Guy's a big center fan, so he'll be happy to see the center taken through here for the Chiefs. He'll be looking forward to watching this game. One thing that we should take a look at, though, as well, is some of the feedback from our fans. We've got some from the fans ready for us. And this time, it's actually us. It's great. There's me and a couple of jokers on the show. I don't know how they got on there, but I've never seen them before.
That's perfect. Thank you, Dave.
The fact that Skibby's expression is stuck the way that it is in his photo just makes it so much better to me. And how are the John Howard brows? Let me tell you. Woo, powerful.
Love a bit of that. Love a bit of that. So, you know, if you guys at home are keen to get you a meme on the stream, make sure you send it in. Use the @LCO on Twitter if that's where you're sending it. Or, you know, tag one of us. We'll probably be able to get it through and have a bit of a chat about it. I tell you what, you could maybe rate our shirts. Who has the best shirt today? Remember, Nat had a pineapple shirt, so that's a big fan favorite. I like pineapple
Does
shirts.
anyone at home even have a better shirt than we do? Because right now, I'd say we're killing the Hawaiian shirt game.
I actually think that's a good one. If you have a better shirt than one of the ones that we're wearing, please send it in, and also maybe send it to my house and I'll wear it because I love crazy shirts. I am MacMate after all. I tell you what, guys, what about the rest of this game? I mean, we're talking about the Chiefs, we're talking about Gravitas. You guys said 70-30. I mean, it is still early days in the draft, so there's probably not a whole lot to go off of. But are you liking what's coming together for Gravitas? I don't think we can say that the Ashe was actually a legitimate pick, but definitely for Camille, for Varus. We know Camille's definitely a good champion for Safa. He's played that in the past a lot. And to be fair, he's the champion, I think, that has the most DoorDash players that delivered. I don't know what to say there. But anyway, you know what I mean. So it must be good to have him coming through on one of his comfort champs, right?
I will say.
I know what you're getting at.
Sorry.
I know what you're getting at. It's four MVPs for Saf in particular, the highest in the entire league. Go ahead.
I will just say quickly that the third pick is confirmed as a Thresh. That was all I was going to chuck in there. So it does help at least having the first 3 picks in the draft back to the previous point. Sorry for cutting you off there, Skibby.
No, I was just going to back up MacMate here. You know, we've got to make sure that you know, his stats see the day of light. Yeah, I mean, you're looking at it, and you're looking at all these MVP standings, and there's a sea of other teams. You know, you're talking Chiefs, you're talking Order, you're talking Peace, Pentanet, and Direwolves, and all the rest. And then it's just a single Gravitas at the top of the tree, the Christmas tree, and it's just Safa's name in golden neon lights.
Well, that would be fantastic, wouldn't it? And I tell you what else would be fantastic if we could just have another chat with Nat, because I love Nat. She's fantastic. Welcome back, Nat. Love the shirt. Pineapples, my favorite. Have them on pizza too.
Oh.
I don't want to get into another food conversation with with Mac this time, because we all know Jordan's viewpoints are just absolutely trash.
Oh no.
So I wouldn't want to start with you, Mac.
All right, I tell you what, Nat, why don't you give us your opinions on how things are going so far in this draft? I mean, what do you think of the champions? Are you a fan of Thresh support? Are you a fan of Senna? Would you have preferred to see the Ashe support coming through?
I was going to say I would have liked the Ashe support. In fact, I do know someone on this panel that has been playing Ashe support quite recently. If he would like to give his thoughts on the Ashe support.
Broken.
Would you like to, Rusty, give your thoughts on the Ashe support?
Ashe support's a lot like Bard support. If anyone was watching the start of the show, you know exactly what I mean. And if you weren't, it's a secret. You're not going to know. No, I think Ashe support actually is underrated, but also very bad a lot of the time. So probably don't pick it.
Morgana support, though, would love to see that if anyone's listening. I would love to see that.
Feel like,
but not Seraphine support.
No, definitely not. Morgana support's kind of fallen out of favor. So is Seraphine, to be fair.
Yes. I definitely don't play both of those champs anymore. Definitely out of flavor.
That's fine, though, Nat, because you're not playing in the LCO. So you can play fun champs. I myself play some fun champions too sometimes, you know.
Tell us about your tell us what Elfish told us about that the J4 support. That was quite exciting, wasn't it?
Yeah, that Elfish guy, he just keeps going on about that Jarvan 4 support.
He doesn't he?
I don't know why he keeps talking about it. It's kind of weird, to be honest. I think he's he watched too much Aladoric. Anyway, I tell you what, that's fine. We don't need to talk about Elfish guy anymore. Where is he anyway? Who cares about that guy? Let's talk about the game. We've got Chiefs and Gravitas ready to go once again into Champ Select. So rub your hands together for this one.
Let's pick up where we left off here, Rusty. What do we have? We do have... Well, we've actually just gone straight through with the draft. We got ourselves a Zillion.
A Zillion?
Cool.
Okay. That was unexpected. I mean, okay, let's just take stock of what we have in the bans first, Skibby. Galio, Ari, both going to be banned away. Both good options again for Kyosei.
That's what you wanted to see?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about with the potential of this composition. Thresh Varus can be weak side till level 6. From those solo laners, you go bottom, suddenly it's on. We just have a zillion. And funnily enough, like we were talking about before, the potential of a Heimerdinger for Mboma with Dragku center is always going to be there. So that's what we're going to get from them. Gravitas have a Zillion mid, which is... I think the last time we spoke about Zillion was in an interview with Shock very briefly, where he said the champion is turbo bad.
Yeah.
And it is currently picked.
I'm trying to remember. I think the last time we saw it was played by Peace. Many moons ago back in Split 1, right? And it was like a case of just protect the Violet, you know, ult him and make sure that we live. But very different scenario this time around. But we do actually have, for the second time this week from Meccano, another Olaf.
Yeah, 2 Olafs. Now, Olaf Zillion is a comp. And is a combo more than anything else, right? So you can have your on-hit Varus down in bottom lane that works with them later. Getting an extra life for someone's obviously going to be very important for Safford diving in. Looking at the enemy team, however, being an Olaf into a Senna and a Heimerdinger is kind of a nightmare for Chiefs to deal with. There's not a lot of crowd control that can deal with him in the first place, but now there is none when he activates that Ragnarok and sprints at a 99% bonus move speed rate when Zillion presses E. It is the ultimate Berserker Ragnarok that is going to run them down if it gets ahead, Skibby. Because if it falls behind, it's a wet noodle.
Oh, I mean, for sure, of course. And there's 2 points I want to bring up. The fact that they've picked Olaf when Xin Zhao is not even banned. That's crazy in its own. But also the fact that Kyosei might be one of those old men, like, you know, shaking his finger at the sky and say, you can ban my Lulu, you can ban my Karma, but I've still found a champion that has movement speed empowering abilities. So that this mid-jungle duo will just run people down. It's crazy.
Absolute crazy is a very good way to explain what they've gone for right now. And, you know, for me, my eyes definitely go more towards the Chiefs side of the coin here. Akali confirmed for mid lane, which is expected and, again, indicated through the bans that we saw coming out of the Chiefs. And otherwise, you know, besides maybe the Senna Heimerdinger, which I think is a new flavor for them, known quantities as champions, but a new flavor for them as a bot lane. Pretty much the expected result here for Chiefs overall, and much the same, right? Stability through their draft phase. Interested to see how they adapt in their play, given that their opponents are a little bit more abstract than perhaps the standard.
Well, those are the drafts. We've seen our variations of the center composition ever since the Tom Kench rework. We've seen the likes of Cho'Gath, Wukong, to name a few, but today we are going to get ourselves the age-old classic, an Mboma special. Then Ezreal, it's going to be a Heimerdinger instead. Let's see how this fares in terms of lane dominance, but the interest has to go towards top lane. The age-old classic matchup. We saw it the other day where Claire played it into Nectar. Their Nectar should get ahead, should be able to be that bully. We know that Lived has been playing phenomenally so far as well.
Yeah, definitely has been. There's a lot to digest, Skibby, in what we've got going on in this draft, just because we jumped in 4 picks in, right? So it feels like we're playing mental catch-up a little bit here. Yeah, so the mid-jungle duo for me is going to be a major proponent in how this game does actually pan out. One interesting thing, and why perhaps maybe the Nat prediction of the 45-55 is more accurate, is because Thomas Shen and Floppy can play weak side to Mboma Dragku's weak side lane. So it can actually just be pure stability down there, right? Just happy scaling and happy farming, which does kind of play into the hands of Gravitas pretty exceptionally, where I feel like Gravitas can falter if they're against like a Peace-style team, right? Where bot lane can scale and snowball out of control. It's just that yesterday, you know, in that exact matchup, they had a really good composition to handle it. But the snowball did happen.
Yes, and it did happen. And we've seen how explosive these early games can be for teams that have the resources to do it. So I'm excited to see what happens when these two Titans clash. But as we fill and as we get ourselves loaded into the match, you do get another opportunity to check in with one of the coaches. And I'm excited to be joined here by Valixis from Gravitas.
Hey, how you going?
I'm good, mate. How about yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad.
Talk to me, mate. You know, complete rookie squad coming in, defying expectations, growing, you know, exponentially, you'd say, from Split 1 to 2. How have they been finding these Super Weeks if you've still got another one to go?
Yeah, the Super Weeks, not going to lie, pretty stressful. 3 games in 1 week, not much time to, like, recoup and then, you know, get back at it. But doing the best that we can. That's all. It is stressful, but doing the best.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you've definitely hit the nail on the head in terms of, turning things around with drafts and, knowing exactly what you want to take into certain oppositions. On that point, up against the Chiefs, it's been historically a very tough matchup. I actually had a look at some stats before, and ever since the rivalry between Gravitas and Chiefs, you've actually never beaten Chiefs. Does that fuel the fire even further?
Oh, 100%. Even like the owner of Gravitas, Sean, was telling me that we've never actually beaten Chiefs. Like the organization never beaten Chiefs. So getting a dub would be amazing. Obviously, though, Chiefs are a great team, but we're going to do the best that we can to take one off them.
I'd love to see it happen, mate. He's certainly in hot form to do so. One observation we made from the draft was that the preference again for Akano to return back to Olaf. Now, obviously, we've seen so much of Xin, and especially even when it wasn't banned. What's the secret tech behind that?
Akano on Olaf is a different type of beast. Like, he's not actually human when he plays this champion. He just turns into like a robot that just can never die, and he just kills everything in his path. So it's really scary to see him on this pick. For what we've seen in solo queue in streams as well, he's the next level.
Beautiful. Well, I want to see him pop off here today. Thanks for your time as always, mate, and best of luck for the game.
Thank you. Have a good one.
There you hear it. He certainly has been a player that's been performing. He's certainly settled into the roster quite nicely. Looks at home.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the unbridled aggression that we've seen from Akano is something that is very warming to actually watch, and the team does seem to gather around that, rally around their new jungler quite well. It has been a sight to behold, and their wins do also speak for themselves in that regard. And just very quickly to catch us up with where we're at so far. Nothing really crazy should happen in the early game. You expect a bit more priority for Liv. You expect a little bit more priority for Kyosei in mid. Junglers, Olaf should farm a little bit faster. You'd expect a much faster clear overall for the level 4 camps. And bot lane should just be a bit of stability. Early Heimerdinger is not going to be oppressive by any means. Varus and Thresh have high kill threat, but that's a limited quantity and pretty reliant on having bush control, and they're being pushed in. So overall, things probably just going to go the way they are.
Certainly might do, as we see a bit of a tumble in the top side as both get dropped down to 50, but it's actually Safa that falls out of favor in that exchange. No sustain, no potions, both popping off here with the Doran's Blade, and certainly in lethal range as we see the ping from Meccano to come topside.
Yeah, so one of the main components of this lane when it comes to trades is that Renekton heals by dealing damage to waves, which is why he always has prio and push, but can he get out of this?
He wants to try and slice and dice through and then hit the flash. There's one, there's two, and there's the Summon of Respect as well. Shaking his head in the cam. He doesn't really want to burn it, but it was forced aggression against him.
Yeah, flash for flash. Jungler always takes a flash for a solo laner. Usually indicates, again, they will be coming back. And keep in mind, Safa, get out of jail free card granted by the jungler. Also has Ignite on hand, so even more kill threat going to be available for this top lane matchup now, and that could potentially open the floodgates. Swaith's nowhere to be seen, as you would expect, a little bit slower to the punch, and this does open up the prospect. And there's a ward to spot this, but can they get out with their life still?
Not going to get caught out this time. Not going to get caught out this time. It's actually worth noting that these two teams are quite, different in that regard for, achieving first blood. Chiefs, for the most part, 70% of the time, they're the ones to get the first blood, whereas Gravitas at 36%. A lot of that goes down to Swaith. He's actually got the highest percentage of getting that first blood, so we'll get to see if that Viego is able to find that first impact on the game.
That does make sense. Swaith League of Legends, it is Swaith's world when he gets to play and the Chiefs unlock him. This is kind of the prototypical way that League is played. We're going to continue to see a lot of aggression up top. It's hard to know when to talk and when not to, honestly, when they're on our screen.
Look at the minimap right now. Vision will spot both these junglers, but it's going to be a 2v2. That's Liv jumping on through right now, doing whatever he can to try and force out Safa as he looks for Q2, but it's not enough. He has to disengage. Sidestep from the axe, but no flash to follow. Safa in trouble, but not enough at this stage. They might just shift their focus into Akano. And Swaith, fitting to his name, does get that first blood again.
Yeah, I think that happens with Kyosei recalling. Teleport definitely available for the mid laner of Gravitas. Would even consider having to use it for this turret if Safa's not going to be able to safely farm. He's actually going to teleport early before the minions even crash to ensure the wave is picked up. Hook just going to hit a turret there, well played by Mboma. But hey, the teleport difference in mid nets them the first kill, and that flash used by Akano immediately punished.
Well, he was. Great start from the Chiefs there. identifying that it was going to be a lane they're going to try and bully nice and early, make sure that matchup would work in their favor. And we've seen Safa do great things when he gets ahead, so why not invest in that one? I'm curious to see how bot lane will play out, because as you mentioned, both may just be quite content playing weak side and scaling up, just clear scaling between both avenues, but you can never underestimate the Lantern gank from an Olaf.
Yeah, so we should actually take a step back and look more at comps holistically and exactly what it means, right? For the side of Gravitas, they've got a pretty strong pick composition with a pretty powerful split push option here, right, as the game goes on. Thresh Varus, insane pick potential. Camille can assassinate that single person as well. Zilean does complement quite nicely when it comes to those picks, being able to use the bombs to speed up the slowdowns. And also the Zilean very good at preventing any kind of assassination attempts from specific members here, right? And you see a Viego locked in, you see a Zilean as a counter option. Hard to get the resets, but deja vu.
It's relentless. They've come topside again, looking for the kill. Slice and dice, both charges used successfully, running straight down topside river. Can't even stop for a pit stop for that fruit. Can't get any HP back. Needs a bit of attention, a bit of support from some teammates, but Kisei and Kyosei are having a brawl of their own. There's a hook that barely scrapes Kisei. Number advantage this time favors Gravitas.
You've got Swathe hovering there, but no flash, so he's not going to be able to commit to anything. That would have just been if Floppy walked into the bush that the Viego was in. Also, speaking of, is at level 6, so that ultimate was available. So lots of kill threat now there from the jungler of Chiefs. Has an experienced lead over his respective opponent, but Akano is relentless. And he is a genuine pain to deal with if you were lived right now. Who's just in hell.
Yeah, he's a pretty emotive player, Lived. I've watched my fair share of his camera during these skirmishes and seeing how he reacts. You can tell the frustration, saying, why me? But I suppose you put a target on your head when you pick a matchup like this. You know what the Renekton can achieve. It's the age-old discussion that continues to do the rounds on social media and Reddit alike.
Okay, so we're pretty happy there's no Ignite mid Skimmy, otherwise that was potentially kill threat. Zilean
for sure.
Just trying to scrape in some extra CS. And for the most part, should have pretty much permanent push priority in mid. As Akali gets closer to 9, gets some points perhaps in presence of mind. Does clear reasonably well, but will never compare to Zilean's double bomb. So this is pretty much that window of opportunity, right? And why Akano should be able to play around topside pretty aggressively is when the Zilean's actually in lane, planted, right? No teleport opportunity for Kisei as a result. And that was the one mistake that Gravitas have made, right? A play against the flow through mid lane priority that goes backwards. Oh my god, leave him alone.
Still the top line aggression. Swathe is there to pick up the Herald. There's the notification. Instantly, Akano realizes maybe it's not the play him after. Hookshot 1 goes out, but he can't jump off the wall. He's stuck on it like a spider, clawing away, hoping that he can survive to tell another tale. That's a beautiful flash forward. He knows it's a foregone conclusion, but it's because he's got Kyosei. The revival's huge. There's the bomb to make it a double kill. The turnaround is complete. And Akano is a machine.
Yeah, now 3-1. The Terminator doesn't die, but that's simply because the Zilean is there this time around, and all the difference that it makes, Skibby, in the outcome of the skirmish. Now 2-4 in favor of Gravitas. A pretty sizable advantage goes through the jungle. Mid-farming well, they've matched their kills, and unfortunately for them, there's no real edge in top lane. It is still probably a better scaling champion, you would safely say, in the Camille to the Renekton, but 0 kills to Safa. Not too happy about that one, perhaps.
Alexis wasn't kidding when he said that Akano's a bit of a monster on this champion, flashing forward with the Ragnarok, turning this fight around and salvaging it with the nick of time to buy enough time for Kyosei to come up here for the rotate.
Yeah, sprinting up here as fast as he can. Had to be reactive to the play. Great flash from Akano, first of all, to secure the kill, and then a flash used by Kyosei to make sure that the ultimate was going to be in range. The chrono shift was there, saving his jungler, saving the MVP of this composition.
Exciting stuff so far. He's on that screen again. He really is pitching a tent right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure he's going to get a BCF endorsement after this one.
Swathe does have that Herald, however, so be interesting to see where he decides to go. If he will continue to try and match with this Olaf, or if he will go elsewhere on the map to try and find some leads. Kisei with a nice little trade, going for the all-in, denied under turret, 2 shots towards him. He's down to 50%, actually lower.
It's
all things are said and done.
Yeah, it's kind of just losing though, isn't it, for Kisei realistically? I mean, Kisei runs out of mana but has the blue buff that he's just picked up, I believe. So he's actually in good stead, health overall. Kisei not having ultimate means 0 kill threat on the map, right? Basically doesn't exist. Zilean doesn't need an ultimate to clear waves successfully. So if that's the way the trades are going to go, I think Kisei takes that every day of the week.
Yeah.
The question is how that works in team fights and what is the operation there? Will he hit the target? Will he be able to do it under pressure when everybody is running at you as Zilean this time around? You know, or do you actually crumble under that pressure that the Chiefs apply?
Just diffuses all that individual 1v1 power and going to be very much reliant on catching him off guard or lowering the CC. There's a little bit of CC, a couple of stuns, top side of the map for Chiefs, but that is going to require a gank to come his way. Otherwise, he might just double bomb the wave and continue to rotate and grip up with his team, as you can see in the minimap right now.
Yeah, lots of pressure actually being applied towards the bottom side of the map. They saw where the Viego was, and you saw Safa attempt to go for that one. This red buff, I think, is about to spawn. We can't exactly see, but around 12-minute mark is when you would expect to see that come up. Regardless, it's not. They're going to disengage for the drag, and they were looking for Swaith more than anything else anyway.
Swaith stepping up blindly here.
Ooh, top at risk of being dove.
It certainly is. We've got a bit of action to try and digest right now. There's the Dawning Shadow top side, a bit of mitigation, bit of damage, but not enough for Liv to feel comfortable despite popping the Dominus. Herald will be the immediate response to that Dragon acquisition as we now find ourselves a 3v3 and a first turret soon to bleed, but now a double TP. A fight will take place here. Heimerdinger going to do whatever he can before he falls on down. Amplifies a massive turret, pattern of damage. The revival's waited out. Kisei looking for the perfect execution. Oh, just a minute too late. He's done it just a fraction too early, but Safa comes in now. Hookshot, Hextech, everything coming together. He dies! It doesn't matter. Kisei forgets it. He saw a quad, but he'll quite comfortably take a triple. And Swaith is denied the ever-elusive Zilean. He flashes, but he gets hooked!
I mean, that was really close. That was exceptionally close. But at the end of the day, the teleport from Safa not going to be nearly in time. Teleport going to be used for bot lane here, and that will confirm the turret as the end result of the skirmish. And the Chiefs go from slightly behind to 100% in the lead in this play. Teleport comes in first from the side of Gravitas. Note that the Camille teleport is there this entire time. And it seems like perhaps the players make sure it's just a 4v4. But you really want him here dealing damage, because the rest of the team's not going to be winning without him. So he'll teleport in, he'll disengage from top lane, come in, but he's half health. You know, the hookshot gets cancelled and just instantly dies. So that was a possibility of a 5-man play where Gravitas could maybe get kills. They choose to do it as 4. They suffer for it big time, but a nice flay after the hook from Floppy to at least ensure that their mid laner stays alive. Otherwise, huge stuff from the Chiefs.
Just a sequence of events were beautiful, and it's not going to stop there. We're still once again top sides. Both Floppy and Akano grouped up, whether they go for the invade on the red buff or go top side to try and get their own turret of the game. They're still here, mind you.
Yeah. What can Liv do? Here's ult.
The turret plates are gone. Now Liv, 1v3, no TPs to back him up. This time they were burnt before. The turret is just out of aggro range. Akano would have needed one more, and here comes Dragku, who doesn't have the ultimate and can't hit him with a quick scope.
There's one big thing we have to really highlight in this game is that overall Chiefs are just winning lanes. You know, top lane doesn't actually count. It doesn't count. He's been far but fine, but he's just been constantly camped. Yep. Bot lane has taken the turret almost just 2v2 with a Herald summon, so they've obviously gotten some plates of their own accord in the 2v2 matchup, and they've had constant push. So, you know, you weak side in Boma and Dragku, that's their comfort zone. They know exactly how to play that style anyway. And then you gank top on cooldown. They're actually unleashed. They're no longer just weak side. They're just playing a solid free 2v2 matchup. That's exactly where they want to be.
The question does become, though, as we get later into this game, will it have been enough? Will their investment in the first 15 minutes of this game for Gravitas be strong enough to give them that mid-game transition, right? The fact that Zilean's already got himself a couple of kills, a couple of assists. The combination between himself and the Olaf, the Camille, whoever it may be, the backlane, crazy antics where you can jump in haphazard and say, I've got a revival, I've got a speed boost, I've got a kill target for you, presented on a silver platter. Because, Chiefs are still plenty of resources of their own to deal and juggle and play the map like this.
Yeah, I just really worry for Gravitas now. Chiefs, I think, have too much of a point of power in this game with a 4-on-1 mid laner. You know, they didn't lock down and keep Kisei down, and that does seem to be one of like the core components of being able to beat the Chiefs at all. They're very good at snowballing when their mid laner is ahead. And if your game plan, your strategy is to have a side lane split push threat, well, this is a teleport Akali that is super fed, and I think can handle a Camille pretty easily overall. To actually kill Kisei would require something pretty special, I'd have to say, from Safa, especially a Safa that has received none of the kills in a lot of these top fights and pressure that's been put up there. Now, he could handle Lived, but anyone could handle Lived. It's about what can you actually do to win the game, and I don't think there is too much of an answer there against the Chiefs' composition.
Well, we've seen them make on-the-fly decisions already this week. What can the Gravitas squad think of on the fly here tonight? What can Safa do? What does he identify as their win condition? Does he sit in the side lane, keep Lived at bay? Or does he decide to group up and say, let's fight them head on? We've got these resources. We've got this point of strength. And let's try and blow this game wide open. The third dragon of the game is going to spawn very shortly. It's up in 10 seconds. Gravitas find themselves in there first. And that's not all too bad, all things considering, given the fact that the likes of a Heimerdinger wants to set up his turrets.
Dragon going to be started pretty much immediately here. Swaith with clear vision on where they are.
Flay burn early, so was the ultimate. There's the Dawning Shadow, bit of damage. Ragnarok being committed. Safa jumps in, just going to get stunned and removed from the game. It doesn't matter. Now Akano running from the rest of his team. The revival went out, but it expired, and so does his health bar. 2 kills. There's the 10. I called it before, but he'll find it in Kisei. A beautiful specimen of an individual. 5-1-2 and gets a shutdown.
It's just too good, right? Gets the lead. Is just too good at closing out these games. Chiefs, they will start the team fight in their terms as Gravitas go for the Drake Herald summon. Thomas Shen could be given a lantern to safety, but they're choosing to stand here.
Kisei once more. You've got yourself a Rift Maker. You've got yourself some damage. You're going to get yourself another hook again. Beautiful stopwatch switching the aggro to Swaith. He picks up the soul. He might just die. Oh, he tried to be hero. He tried to be clever. The aggro was locked, but Kisei survives.
I mean, he had a lantern that he could have thrown as well while he was in Thresh form. So definitely not a Thresh player as the jungler of Chiefs, but I'm not sure it would have saved him regardless, as that was a fully ramped up turret dealing some insane damage. And look, he does save the life of his mid laner. The stopwatch price is not high, as he's going to be able to buy the Zhonya's pretty much outright right now. And in this position, it's now a 6-1 mid laner. We said this at 4-1. Probably going to be too strong to contest anyone from Gravitas to contest him on the map right now. And that's only going from bad to worse. That last fight at the Dragon kind of felt like a last-ditch effort. They start the Dragon, Chiefs match them, and it was just a messy scramble of a team fight beyond that.
It really was. Clear idea to try and jump in, but Safa falls down instantly. The ultimate from Zilean doesn't find its value, and the strength they'd built up isn't able to really translate much into a mid-game fight, the first of many to come, no doubt. But Kisei, come on, give us the Magi's. You've got 10 stacks in that Dark Seal. I want to see 25 pages on that book. I want to see the damage stats up in the 80 carry numbers to 40%.
We are about to get ourselves a masterclass of Akali, Eric. And definitely not one of the players that crumbles under the pressure. Give him 100 kills and say carry us, he'll probably do it. He seems to be the most solid of mid laners. Definitely a player that we look at for the future as well, Skimmy, given that he is so young. Yep. He's only improving.
It's beautiful to witness. Get to see it live and first hand. Chiefs now in a very comfortable spot on this map, up by 3,500 gold. Vision being laid across the map, really denying a lot of the entries that Gravitas would have into the middle portion of that map, as Chiefs Lived as being locked underneath this turret for what feels like an eternity. Feels like laning phase all over again. He's got himself a stride breaker and got himself a little bit of mobility to hit a key target.
Yeah, the man is just experiencing purgatory, the eternal suffering of his existence in top lane right now. As a meager life, the rest of the team are doing serious work and having the time of their lives elsewhere. Heimerdinger happily farming is a happy Heimerdinger. I'm sure Dragku, if we could get a soul check, is sitting pretty. The support centers usually get a lot more souls, of course.
Yeah.
Guess we're not getting the soul check. Ooh, I'll make a number up. He's got 75. 83.
Oh, not too bad.
Oh,
You
far
played
off.
bingo. That's not too bad. 83. Well, he's certainly scaling, as they say. Very competent center player, where many times you see a matchup like this. It's the Eddie carry that plays the role, but he can definitely pump out those big numbers when required. The Baron's spawn, the Baron's being started, down to 50% already, and Gravitas have no vision and really have no business looking to try and contest this one.
Yeah, it's just gone. I mean, just well played from the Chiefs. They have vision control completely in the pit, and Gravitas not feeling very confident to get in there. Stuck on waves as well, right? You've got Safa showing bottom. Kyose's the first to check, but by the time he gets a bomb in there, it's already at about 1300 HP. So that Baron is completely gone. Fair play to the Chiefs. Again, from this position, it's now, what, 6k? They should just be able to deploy on the map in a 1-3-1 if they would like. And this could make it even easier.
Safa on the run. Evading the Chiefs right now. We're going to taunt him, tease him just a little bit. They know that he's cornered 4v1. What are you going to do about this one? Going to pop the ultimate. Hook shot away. Okay.
No flash, though.
He has no flash. He's going to hit them with the Chiefs emote himself. He knows it's gone. And now it's a case of who will get their kill, and it's that man again, Kisei.
I mean, it was a good juke, but it wasn't enough of a good juke to give him anything. It just buys time. I guess that does buy time against a Baron buffed opponent. But the man who has been camped like you would not believe is unfortunately a 1-4 Camille. So strategically, maybe it's sound from Gravitas. In execution was anything but, unfortunately.
Maybe some cheeky comms going on between himself and Mboma, saying, "You feel my pain?" That's the life I have to live. Grouped up and happy right now. Plenty of vision in the mid lane. It's been very hard for Gravitas to push forward that turret that they hold. Barely a scratch on it. For the side of Chiefs, they are well and truly in the driver's seat. Soon to find their third turret. Still another 90 seconds on this Baron buff to escort these cannon minions in and get as much damage done as possible. And, well, having picked up a dragon off screen as well. An Ocean Soul to look forward to in 5 minutes if the game goes that long.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point if the game does go to that point. I do think that the Chiefs are the kind of team that will be slow and methodical for the most part. They will try and just play the map out rather cleanly as possible. Not a lot of turrets actually broken just yet, so we'll see. We'll see how just long this one does take. Baron pretty much subsides with not a whole lot of money gained, but total control. This bush, however, belongs to the Chiefs, so again, total control. But no turrets, really. It's pretty quiet Baron buff.
Yeah, they've only picked up that one on the bottom side of the map. Apart from that, Liv just has been slow pushing waves in. Even though the Zillion face checks, he doesn't want to go for the all-in. Has a little bit of vision, but not enough to step up.
I mean, you can't all-in a Zillion, right?
And you certainly don't want to waste your time doing so.
Kano may win the battle. Definitely not winning the war currently. Gets the red buff, but top lane turret getting closer and closer to falling. Kyose with less pressure. You could see the Chiefs moving into the enemy red buff. Clear indicator of that one. Even though the Baron is gone, turret is inevitably going to drop. Sway's about to say, "G'day. What are you doing in my swamp?" Can we
Zephyr in
make
bot
that
lane
canon?
is,
Junglers are ogres.
Okay. Yeah, sure. The Shrek sequel.
Yeah. Shrek 4, Summoner's Rift.
I was going to say that Safa was bot lane farming furiously to try and get this Ravenous Hydra second item spike completed as quickly as possible. There's the Empower with stun grenades and Boma's forced to flash away. Safa then jumps in. Channel Corruption's not enough to guarantee that Hextech on momentum finds any value. And then Kisei jumps in, but it's a beautiful hook there by Floppy. But will it be enough to try and turn the tides of war? I don't think so. Ragnarok or not, Akano falls down. They pick up a trade. And they will take down 2.
Kisei's still with ult.
But Floppy is smurfing. He's making sure that these hooks continue to find success. Another stopwatch, another Kisei, another moment to pop off and shine. No revival this time. No chance to try and prevent the inevitable. A snipe from afar as Swaith becomes Varus. Not enough to remove him, and they'll be quite content with 4, I'm sure.
Yeah, about 1 HP. Kyose limps his way back to the fountain. A 1 HP Kyose is now 0. Skibby Swaith just sits in the mist. What a champion. How many years of experience?
Unbelievable.
God, I dislike that champion. Let's watch a replay. It starts with Mboma getting pretty heavily chunked out. Safa commits the ult, but was never really going to have lethal. And Kyose does have ult this entire time, so he's always going to be a threat. You know, Zillion Bombs lock him down. If the Zillion Bombs went under-lived, could have killed him faster, but it doesn't matter because they buy the space that they need. But then Viego comes along. You may be able to hook him, but can you stop him from killing your teammates? The answer is no. And then, of course, the reinforcements come in. The cavalry is there. Too much damage from the Zakali to contend with.
Then it became National Geographic, just waiting for the Predator to pounce. 10k gold leads, 26 minutes in. It was only 5 minutes ago we were discussing about whether or not Soul Point would be on the cards, but it's being clean and methodical by the Chiefs. They've got multiple ways to close this game out, with the Baron soon to spawn and the Soul to pick up if they see fit. Can't see why not. It would be the ultimate siege to end this game. I'm sure Kyose is keen to try and hit double digits.
I'm surprised he didn't go for an earlier Medjai's though. Honestly, the game's so heavily snowballed in his favor that sitting at 10 Dark Seal stacks feels inefficient. Imagine that being the one piece of criticism you give a player.
Yeah, well, I pleaded.
Yeah.
I wanted to see it. And maybe he's heard my words and sad B emote. That's all I'll get from him today.
Just gave her the L. He's not getting one of those though. Also, Mboma quietly achieving most of this game. Haven't spoken about him much. Probably won't be the DoorDash player that delivered, but is delivering consistency to the Chiefs, and they should be thankful for that one. Draku as well. You know, Senna actually a pretty prolific champion for Draku. Not something that we often get to see from him, but when he gets his chance on the champ, it does show mastery of it. And stable, right? Solid and very good play from the bottom lane of Chiefs.
Yeah, certainly doing a lot of work right now. Bit of a bruiser shredder between the Divine Sunder and the Black Cleaver. But here we go for another fight. Second Baron spawn, all in on this one or not. Floppy just getting zoned away by these turrets. He might just drop down so early on. This is so much damage to try and contend with, but it's a massive shield onto the Olaf, but not big enough to survive. Kyose comes back from the afterlife, but only to be dropped down swiftly again. There's a ward, there's a Q. And there's the mechanic for the Chiefs to get an ace.
Now, I mean, the fight starts with an engage onto Floppy. It'll end with Floppy dying. Kyose teleports back to his own inhibitor turret for literally no reason when there's minions in mid. So he's going to take an extra 10 seconds to push. So that's kind of terrible. The inhibitor definitely going to drop. You've got Gravitas respawning in 15 odd seconds. I don't think it's going to be an end just here. I'll tell you what, they could have given it a crack if their mid laner didn't teleport back to the base. We'll never know. Skibby?
Well, he wants to pad a few more steps right now. He's having a lot of fun this game. He's delivering us a masterclass. And we're just fortunate enough to bear in all its glory. So this question now becomes, with members of Gravitas respawning, will they still opt in for the Baron?
I mean, they have to. The problem with the game for Gravitas, it's something that I like that they're doing, right? I don't think there's ever a world where they win these team fights, barring critical failures from the Chiefs' side. They're still taking the fights. You know, they're still looking at Baron. They're still bringing it to them. They're still being aggressors in a losing state. And for me, as a competitive viewer, it's fun to watch. And Boma's dead. Just a quick update for you all.
Well, I'm going to get a bit of an update on that one, but now Liv might be in a spot above it. He certainly is. It's a 1-for-1 trade. Actually, I tell you a lie. It's actually a 2-for-nothing trade. Gravitas right now bringing the power back against Chiefs, despite being down 11,000 gold. Never say die is their attitude. But Sway, once again, taunting with Vision Denial, finds one. There's a reset. There's a Dawning Shadow. The beautiful revival. Kyose looking to live a little bit longer in this team fight. Back to full HP. But here comes Kyose. A thumbs up, go golden, but you're not a trophy, you're a statue, because I'm looking and laughing. 10, 1, and 8, but this time it's Sway, and he's the man with the double digits.
Chiefs should just be able to win the game from this situation. Kyose, I doubt, has enough to actually get through the onslaught of the Chiefs, and Boma's going to be able to respawn, teleport in as well for good measure, so that should just be game here. And Swaith, I don't know if you saw that in the bottom of your screen, was yelling for that DoorDash MVP.
It's going to be a tough ask, especially when the Sakali has played like they have today. 31 minutes on the go. It's another win here for Chiefs. The league leaders making their series total up against Gravitas now 16-0. Undefeated. And, well, relentless in this game.
Yeah, relentless, a very good way to explain this one. It felt extremely one-sided, almost from go to woe, right? Strategically, you saw some, I want to say creativity from Gravitas, and then we saw a distinct lack of creativity with the follow-ups. They just stayed top lane for most of the game. It never really worked. It got the Renekton behind, but because they were trading their life for it, trading control of the bot side of the map for it as well, the second the Chiefs translated that advantage that they had in the jungle and mid lane down to bottom, that was really the crowning moment, right? That was where it was over for Gravitas. Safa not getting any of those kills as well is pretty devastating for his lane state, given all of the time that Akano put there.
Yeah, we certainly saw him invest in the top lane stocks, but Safa unable to really bear the fruits of success as a result. And Mac, we said 70-30. There were definitely arguments to be made why those stats were as discussed as they were, but what a great performance by Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's unreasonable at all. And it's kind of strange, right? The game starts off fairly similarly to the last time we do see the two teams match up. Gravitas get off to a reasonably decent lead early on in the piece. That fight up in the top lane that sort of turned back on its head seemed to be the recipe for success for Gravitas. But once again, they're just not able to hold it together in the mid game, in the late game, and inevitably things do fall over. I mean, Kisei, an absolute machine. Swaith started to get it rolling as well once those resets started to come into play as well. What a beautiful champion Viego is. Overall, it seemed like the Chiefs were just on a bit of a different level than the Gravitas lads were today, and I think that's probably to be expected. Again, like you said, we were looking toward that 70-30%, but I like to see Gravitas contesting. It's just unfortunate that sometimes in these big matchups, they are not able to convert those leads, which could have, like if they win this match against the Chiefs, if they win that last match against the Chiefs, well, all of a sudden they're looking like they might actually be the best team in the league. But unfortunately, twice now, the Chiefs are able to overcome them. So overall, I mean, I don't think we can be too disappointed by what we saw here from Gravitas, Rusty, but some of us who did predict them will probably be walking away a little bit unhappy.
Yeah, a little bit, but at the end of the day, it was a gamble, definitely, to try and consider tipping, and the way it played out definitely is not the way that you would expect. And I think there's a couple of points for me that Gravitas need to look at the most, right, between weeks, as this is the last day, is one, if you're going to make plays around topside, you need to be better at tracking their mid laner's position or teleport. And if your mid lane is recalling, that's clearly not a play that you should be making in the first place, right? And the second one was they kept going for plays while the Chiefs were topside. So it's clear they didn't actually have much tracking on the enemy jungler at a certain point in the game either.
How do we see that bot lane turning out as well? Obviously, the Heimerdinger Senna, it's a combination that I suppose we probably should have expected from the Chiefs there, Skimmy. It's something that, obviously Mboma likes to pull out, and it seemed to work quite nicely indeed.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the damage graphs here. I'm curious about what would have been the best build for the Varus, because we've seen the lethality Hella Blades be the most prominent here in the LCO. I'm wondering if this on-hit start actually got any value in this game, because I don't see that Mboma really got bullied out. I don't really see that he was able to, contribute much in terms of adding to a team fight, right? It was kind of like throw these bruises at them with movement speed, try and cause a little bit of panic amongst the ranks of Chiefs, and maybe just come out ahead, right? I think Floppy was smurfing with a lot of these hooks and denials, but a Fresh can only do so much. Yeah, that's kind of my open invitation as to what build would have been best.
Think of it like this, right? You're the Varus. You're playing against a Senna, Heimerdinger, Akali, Viego, Renekton. Do you ever want to be anything other than 1,500 units away from them with lethality? Probably not. So you probably have no choice but to go lethality there. It's a bit hard to play an on-hit Varus into that.
All right, well, I tell you what, lads, we've got a bunch of questions and someone who is ready to find all the answers. Nat is back. How you doing? How'd you like that game, Nat?
Yeah, it was good. I definitely thought coming out of draft it would be a little bit closer, but I guess Chiefs are just on a whole nother level today. They absolutely stepped up and brought it and knew what to do.
Indeed. All right, well, tell us who you've got down on the side lanes today.
I'm going to be joined by Kisei, and I'd like to say firstly, congratulations on that win. You guys had an outstanding performance, but the draft, did it go how you expected? Is that sort of what you guys were prepared to come up against?
Yes, we actually planned a lot for this since the last time we drafted. It was pretty bad, and we lost due to draft cap, no copium. But this time we got a really good draft, and we were happy with it. And yeah, that's what happens when we get a good draft.
Yeah, well, goodness, hopefully people will be paying a lot more attention to what you guys have been drafting if that's how well you can play with a good draft. Now, we saw a lot of priority go top side on the side of Gravitas, obviously, to protect Safa, but you guys as well to try and shut him down. Was that the main game plan you had coming into this?
No, I think we were more likely to play for me since I was the Fed one. But yeah, we did know they were just gonna hover Safa because like Safa is basically 3/4 of their team, so they want to play for him.
And the last question quickly is, out of you and Swaith, who do you think deserves player that delivered?
Like no, not a biased opinion. I'd say me. Not biased.
No reason why. Just you. Just feeling it.
I feel like I played better and I carried a lot more. Yeah.
We'll jump back over and have a look to see who did get player that delivered. But thank you so much for joining me, Kisane. Congratulations.
No problem.
Again.
Thank you.
Well, I tell you what, Nat, Kisei, you know, that's probably a pretty good question for him because we do need to find out who indeed was the DoorDash player that delivered. And I tell you what, it is indeed Kisei. Of course, he was the one that carried a little bit harder. Swaith did do well towards the end of things, but again, it was Kisei through the early stages of the game that really seemed to get that ball rolling. For the Chiefs, 74% kill participation from your mid laner. That ain't too shabby, eh, Rusty?
Yeah, for me, it was the early teleports, right? And the better team fighting in the early game around a pretty difficult composition, particularly, you know, through the first 20 minutes of that one. So Kisei puts in an insane amount of work early, opens up the floodgates for the Viego to come in with him late game. And those two together, when fed, nothing really beats it in League of Legends right now. So credit to Kisei for that.
Yeah, Karlik definitely one of those difficult champions to deal with all that mobility and such, and not too many answers, unfortunately, for the Gravitas roster. Overall, though, I mean, I think Swaith will be a little bit disappointed by that one. He did have a pretty solid scoreline towards the end there. Any dissenting opinions? Skimmy, what do you reckon? It was Akali all the way?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we teased it a few times during the cast, right? We're just like, look at what this masterclass is. This guy is just giving me a performance to get excited about, right? And hopefully the viewers at home were just as excited to see it, right? You know, it's always nice when two hard carries hit the double digits and really showcase that this is my role and I'm doing it well.
Indeed, indeed. Well, 1 game out of 4 done for today. We do have to look towards the next few that are coming on up. For now, it's time for us to head to a short break. While we do, make sure you stick around and enjoy Freaks by Surf Curse. That's the song of the day. We'll see you on the other side of this.
But now double TP, a fight will take place here. Heimerdinger going to do whatever he can before he falls on down. Amplifies a massive turret, padding the damage. The revival's waited out. Kisei looking for the perfect execution. Oh, just a minute too late. He's done it just a fraction too early, but Safa comes in now. Hookshot, Hextech